So, very good morning, everyone. My voice is audible. So, is my voice is audible?
Yes, sir. Good
Yes,
morning.
okay. Okay, thank you. So, welcome back to this classes on artificial intelligence. Particularly, we are in session 37, where we are talking about various inference mechanisms. I will just continue the same phase like where we have left in the last class, probably on Friday or Saturday, because Friday and Saturday in the morning, when people are having the CNDS classes, what is that we are doing is we are asked to do only the revision in Saturday and Friday, because they are part 80 or 85 people are participating in C and data structures. So in this class, what is my emphasis is how do you proceed with this resolution. But apart from that, like while your seniors are taking the HR interviews, most of the time the expertise that they have in artificial intelligence is getting a major significance, or they are rewarded in the terms of how they have the knowledge on AI systems. Because many times what they are asking in AI system, AI particularly for these interviews that happened in the last week was they have asked her what are the different types of AI systems. Like you need to tell when people talk, ask you about what type of AI systems you have. You can talk about a production system. You can talk about a constraint satisfaction system. You can talk about inference management system. You can talk about a truth belief system that will come later. But among whatever discussion that happened from the class 1 to class 37, the inference management systems are very important. The reason is they're going to process text not only in the terms of English, it can process text, and the emphasis is how do you convert this text into an intermediate language, where this intermediate language is same for all notations. In the meaning, like I spoke something in English, somebody spoke something in Tamil, or somebody spoke something in Chinese. If the statement meaning is same, the representation has to be same. So that part we call it as a conceptual dependency, which is very important. That will come in your fourth unit. So my interest of telling all this initial 5 to 10 minutes is like what is that you have in the second and third units, because the second and third unit are same, like second and third unit are integrated units, where the inference mechanism that we are studying is an integral part of what you have in second year. Like at some point of time, like when you still further explore in the area of inference mechanisms, at some point of time you say that inference mechanism will also need some heuristic, because every time when you try to read the paragraphs or read the natural language processing statements, obviously I need to have an algorithm. So when can an algorithm can ratify your inference, or when can an algorithm can say that it is a valid inference or not, is very important. That is the reason many times what type of systems you have in A, you can talk about production systems, you can talk about water jug problem, you can talk about constraint satisfaction system. So this constraint satisfaction systems will be used in your network security also. Most of whatever examples that we have discussed in the first unit, like you can talk about because Tesla, which is using your deep learning, Watson, All these are production systems. All these are rule-based systems. Mycin. So you should not type like this. Mycin. So all these are production systems. All these are rule-based systems. So if somebody asks you what type of systems that you have, then you can talk about production systems. You can talk about constraint satisfaction system. You can talk about inference management systems. You can talk about belief systems. So many times in your interviews, people are asking about what type of systems you have, what systems. Like I said, you have a system called CC system, where people are trying to analyze your videos to find out how many people are there, what are the abnormal actions. All these things will be very important in the context of what the interview process is going on. So obviously the theory and connecting this theory with respect to the real-time applications at this moment is very important. So inference management, what we are studying is having a limited scope. So inference management is a system like in the morning I have received an alert from your Acumen saying that you will have a rain at 3 o'clock in Bemaram, 3 p.m. at Bemaram. So whatever inference management system is a system which will take decisions even though the information is incomplete, but whatever we are studying in the textbook is different. Whatever we are studying in the textbook is an inference management system which has 100% guarantee, because all the statements that you are processing are 100% guarantee statements. So most of the people will have an emphasis on this inference mechanisms, because inference mechanisms are the most important part of AI. So if somebody asks you different types of inference mechanisms, you can talk about axiomatic, or you can talk about natural deduction system. You can talk about axiomatic system. You can talk about resolution mechanism. And we try to have some other concept called as semantic tableau. So at least you need to remember the names, because these three parts almost you have covered in the syllabus. But your natural reduction system is a system, it is like a tuning mission without many conditions. If you consider tuning missions, most of the time there is no limit on the amount of memory. Your header can move from left to right as well as right to left. And whatever finally what is that we do in theory of computation is, whatever the machine that we studied called as tuning machine, we can call it as a theoretical computer. So whatever the activities that are done by innate and old or innate at a natural computer can be done by a tuning machine. So the natural reduction system is a system which will allow all the operators, and this is a very important definition, and it will allow all the inference rules. So it is a universal system. That is the reason most of the time they call it as universal system, universal inference mechanisms. So axiomatic system is a system which will allow this implication part, and it will allow only this inference rule. If you have something called as this is most of the people know this. If that is the case, G is your inference. A resolution mechanism is a mechanism where you have to convert your statements into first order logic. From first order logic, you have to convert the statement into clause form. From clause form, you need to take the negation of what you have to prove. Then you need to construct a tree, or we call it as inverted tree. so that you will get something called as null set. This is what we have seen in the last 3 classes, and this is what it is. So but see, we have many types of inference mechanisms. Mainly you have 3 different types. 3 types are there. In these 3 types, if first type is which process your symbols. The second type is which process your statements and convert them into symbols. So the third important thing that was not there in the syllabus is a semantic based system. So these things you need to know. So you have 3 types of inference mechanisms in general. What I am saying is in general. And if you remember, the first one is how do you process the symbols. So your NDA system and axiomatic system will fall into this processing of symbols. And converting these statements and converting the symbols, we talk about resolution here. So whatever the real-time systems that are existing now, they are called as semantic-based systems. Semantic-based systems are systems which will understand based on the meaning of this statement. I have a statement, I have to understand the meaning of the statement. Then I have to understand the meaning of the statement based on the context. I have to understand the meaning of the statement based on the earlier statement and the statement which was after the statement. So we call it as successor and predecessor statements. So this third system which was not there in the syllabus is the most important part of inference mechanism. Where if somebody asks me what type of admissions that will happen in this year or next year, that processing has to be done by a semantic based system if it is in the terms of natural language processing. So the first 10 minutes, what is that I wish to tell you is inference mechanism is very important. And we have learned about production systems, we have learned about constraint satisfaction systems, we have learned about inference mechanism systems. These 3 systems are very important and you need to understand these 3 systems. So I will get back to what exactly I have to teach in this class now. Whatever discussion that has happened now is only just pertaining to what type of questions that they are asking in this your campus interviews in the terms of theory and in the terms of recent innovations or recent happenings of AI as per your Gartner's report is concerned. So last few classes we are talking about various examples of resolutions. We are also talking about various examples of NDS. So there are 3 steps of resolution as per the standard textbook is concerned. In some textbooks there are 4 steps. So the first step is how do you convert your statements into first order logic, and the second step is how do you convert this first order logic into clause form. The third step is in general is how do you negate the inference that was given and add it to your statements. The third one is how do you construct inverted tree. Inverted tree, so that you will get something called as null or contradiction at some point of time, or we call it as null or an empty set. So first order logic to class form, we have many rules, like we need to eliminate implication, we have to minimize the scope of this knot, we need to standardize the variables. Whenever I use x for a statement, you use it for the next statement, you use y, next statement you use z. So for instances of what x is, you can use x1 or x2. For instances of y, you can use y1 or y2. It is based on that. So once the standardization process is used over, so it is better to eliminate your existential quantifiers by replacing the exact value, because when last time when I have taken an example, a ruler can be Caesar, so obviously you can substitute a Caesar. Or if you don't want to substitute Caesar, I can substitute an x1. X1 at this moment can be Caesar. You can eliminate the existential quantifiers. So all this can be done by taking all these existential quantifiers and universal quantifiers to the LHS. Actually, LHS, we have to get all these things to LHS without changing the order of what you have. So then you can have conjunction of disjuncts, like you have something called as this. So you can apply the rule to get a and here, so that you can take them as statements and can have them as a separate. This is what we have seen in the last class. But this part, many times they are asking in your theory exams, what is the procedure to convert a first order logic to class form. This is what I have seen for almost 1 or 2 classes, and I have taken the example also. So this class again is a very simple class, where most of the people, when not there in Friday and Saturday, they will be benefited in this class with the simple expression. Like, this is a simple example that I have taken. I wish to only discuss this example because this is the easiest example, and surprisingly this example was given for almost 16 months. What is resolution and how do you prove this? They are not saying it is an inference. So resolution algorithm will have two types of questions. What they do is they give an inference and they will ask you to validate that inference many times. Validate the inference means there is a chance that this statement is true or the statement is false. But resolution, when they say that you need to prove this, then a resolution is not an algorithm, it is a procedure or it is a static steps. Sometimes when you are solving resolutions, you need to add some predicates which are not there in the statements. Sometimes we need to assume. So we can start answering the query with this, like just we'll proceed how we have to do and see whether we are getting the proof exactly right or wrong. Just a minute. So this is better way, like we will see this part. So the first statement that was given here is John likes all kinds of foods. So the resolution algorithm in general works like this. You take a statement and convert the statement into first order logic, then convert that first order logic into class form. So, but the way in which you write the first order logic, it depends upon your perception. And if your perception has to be right, you need to solve more problems. So, John likes all kinds of foods. Whenever I have a statement, it's very difficult to find the output or outcome of the statement. Once you have that outcome, obviously you can represent the statement in first order logic. So that is what the basic problem is. So I just wish to see how many are there. 150 are there. Okay. So John likes all kinds of foods. So can somebody unmute yourself and tell me what is the outcome of the statement as far as your understanding is concerned? John likes all kinds of foods. If X is a food, then that food then that food is liked by John or something like that. So if you see the statement that you have here, what can be the outcome of the statement? Some food was given, that food is liked by Mr. John. Can somebody unmute yourself and answer like what can be the outcome of this statement, like John likes all kinds of food?
Likes.
See, what exactly you said is right. So I need that output or outcome of the statement. So when you say the outcome is like, so how many parameters or how many arguments that likes can have? Who is liking?
John.
John is liking.
John.
So what he is liking? Please tell me.
Food.
Yes, yes. What you said is right. So if you have something called as food of X, for all X, so this statement is clear. So but before answering this query again, I'm just repeating this what I have said earlier. Many times a resolution mechanism, what they do is they give an inference and they will ask you to validate that inference, whether the inference is true or false. Sometimes they give John likes peanut, you need to prove that. But every time you need to think resolution is not an algorithm, resolution is like a procedure, or it can be called as a theorem. So when somebody wish ask you to prove, then you need to assume or create your own predicates. This is what your textbook says, or this is what the procedure is, because I worked on this, so obviously this will come. So I will just go back to this answer. For all X, food of X is there, like, okay, this is right. So once you write something in first order logic, what can be your class form for this? Is it in class form?
No, sir.
No. So whenever there is a class form, you should not have for all, and you should not have this predicate, like what is that we have used is in implication should not be there. So whenever implication is there, I have a formula I will use, food of X or like of John X. So two things I have done. The first thing is I have applied a rule to remove this implication part. The second thing that I have done is I have removed this for all, because for all can be removed straight away as per as the fifth rule of your class form is concerned. So the second statement I'm just making here. So a simple statement actually this is. So apple and chicken are food. So whenever you wish to convert some statement into first order logic, what is that you need to do is you need to think about what exactly already function. See, you have two functions here. Food is a function. See, why I'm saying this function is whenever we try to have something in Prolog, every statement with some argument is a function. So I say food is a function with an argument x, like is a function with two arguments. That's what my nomenclature is. So apple and chicken are foods. So how do you represent this actually? What is common in the first statement and second statement?
Food.
Food.
Yes. How many parameters that food is having?
One parameter.
Yes. So, what is food actually? Apple is food, and I need to represent, and chicken is also a food. Is my representation is right? Is the statement I have written here is
Yes.
right? Yes. So again, the same question, like, is this in a class form? Is this in a class form? See, when two statements are combined with and, your class form says that you take statement by statement. So what is that we do actually here is, I take this as a statement number 2, this statement is number 3. This is as per the rule 9. If you remember that, uh, so if you just remember actually how you convert this into class forms. So this is what it is. See, completely I have not written. I think in the next slide it will be there. Anyway. I need some PowerPoint where this class form is there. Just I will. If it is there, I will show. If it's not there, I will just. Anyway, but your class form says whenever two statements are integrated with and, I need to take them as individual statement. This is what the rule is. That rule is number 7. So again, I will take the next statement, 29th. Okay. Anything everyone eats and does not kill is food. Okay, okay. So what is that we have done till now is, we have answered this, we have answered this. Anything anyone eats and does not kill is food. Bill eats peanuts and still alive. So Susan eats that Bill eats. Okay, that is simple. Okay. Disturbance over there. Okay. So can somebody tell me what is the relation between your third and the fourth statement, and what are the common things in the terms of your functions? So what is that we do is, we try to write the predicate logic or first order logic for the fourth statement, then we'll come to third. That is better. So I will write to 4, I will answer the fourth question, then I'll get back to this part. Then that will have different type of perception. Bill eats peanuts and still alive. How can you write this? So what are the outcomes of this statement at this moment? Bill eats peanuts and still alive. Bill eats peanuts and still alive. So what are the verbs in this statement?
Eats.
Okay, it's
Alive.
who is eating? Bill is eating some peanuts. Okay, eat or eats, whatever it may be, it depends. Next time when you have a eat, you have can use eat or eats, whatever it may be. Okay, Bill is eating peanuts. What is the thing I have to write here after this?
And
And who is alive?
Bill.
Yes. So this statement is right. So again the same story, because it both are connected with and, I can take this as an individual statement. And I can take this as individual statement. So in this we can take. This is an important statement. The reason is there is a connection between Bill eats peanuts and still alive in the third statement. That is the reason I just deferred writing this. So the third statement is talking about somebody, like anything anyone eats and does not killed is food. It is a more general statement. Here, what is the connection between your fourth and third statements? Fourth statement I have written. What is the common function in both of them?
Eats.
Eats. What you said is right. Okay. Other function is what is common, which was already existing in the third statement. See, eats was already existing because I have written the fourth statement first. So eats was already there. Okay. Then what was also there? Eats, there is a function with two parameters, because fourth statement was written first. Any statement can be taken and any statement can be represented first. I can come from 5 to 1 also, there is no problem. So what is the other function that is already written? Food I have taken, is it right? John
Yes, sir.
likes, yes, so food is already there. Okay. So whenever we wish to perform resolution, there are two types will be there: using the same function with same parameters, or using the same function with different parameters with different names. Somewhere I have a food which is having two parameters, then I have to use food one and I use two parameters. But in general, in resolution, what is that we do is we will see that whatever represent many times eats is there, it is generally we do it with two arguments, because earlier I have done with two arguments, here also we'll do it with two arguments. So still, is there any connection between third and fourth statements apart from this eats, and any other is common? If somebody is, what is alive and what is not killed, both are same? Both are same. So there are two ways of representing your third statement. So if you assume that whatever that not killed is alive, because it's a theoretical way of solving, then you have a different type of representation. You don't want to have that alive and there is no relation. If you say that there is no relation between alive and not killed, so then you have to write not of killed. Then you need to write alive is not killed or killed is not alive, something like that. But we'll see what exactly is the third statement and we'll see how we can write. So now the third statement I will just copy here so that you will have anything anyone eats and does not kill is a food. Okay. So anything, anyone. So see, I will just paste here, and then you need to tell me what is the outcome or output of the statement. This is a statement. Anything and anyone eats and does not kill is food. What is the outcome of the statement? Somebody is eating something and he is not killed, then we call it as
Food.
yes. So what is the output of the statement, entire statement?
Food or not.
Yes, yes. Food of how many parameters food is having earlier? Food is having only one parameter. Is it right? Food of X, food of apple, food of chicken. So I will write food of X. So just I have to write here something before this. This is not coming. So before that I need to write what is that I have to write. So anything anyone eats. So what is that I have to write here? And he is not killed. He is not killed. So I need some. Just I will write. He is not killed. So if X is he, if I say Y is food, assume. So anything anyone eats. So I need to have something called as eat. Anything anyone. So somebody is having this. X eats Y. X eats Y. Just eat. I will just. Bill eats peanuts. So eat is something like this. Bill is a person who is eating peanuts. So here I have written eat is a some function which is taking X and Y. X is a person and Y is a food. So anything anyone eats and does not kill is a food. So what is the variable that you have to get here?
Why?
Yes, it is Y now, because eat I am using the same nomenclature. Eat bill of peanuts. Bill eats peanuts. So X eats this and food. So anyone, anything and anyone, anything, anyone. So anything, anyone. So for all X, for all Y, eat of X comma Y, and since alive was already there, just a minute. Uh, alive of who is the person here? X or Y?
X.
Yes.
X.
So this is what it is. So anything and anyone eats and alive is a food. So is it in class? Is it in class form?
No, sir.
No. So obviously in class form there is no need that you have to have these universal quantifiers. You can remove them straight away, and you can convert this into some equivalent representation. So the negation of eat of X comma Y or negation of alive of X or food of Y. So negation is there, negation is there. Okay, this is right. So then the last statement will come. Susan eats that Bill eats. So whatever Susan is eating, that will be eaten by Bill. This is what I understood. So that is the reason this small question was given for 16 marks, because there is a small understanding of the statements. Susan eats that Bill eats. So okay. So what is the outcome of this statement?
Same food or not?
Yes, yes. But who is doing the eating first?
Bill.
Yes, yes. So eat is there. Eat of Bill is eating some X. If I say X is a food for all X, the outcome is if Bill eats something, then eat of X. Susan will also eat the same X. What the entire representation is, again the same story, like it was not there in your class form, so you need to remove this for all. So negate this eat of Bill comma X, and you have to R this eat of so this is what the representation is. So this is in class form, negation or eight. Okay. So the question is very simple. John likes peanuts. So I just understood that I am passing the time. I'm just crossed 9:40. Just I will stop here. John likes peanuts. I'm just finding what is there any like something like, yes, like was there. Like is a function with two arguments. The first argument is the person. The next argument is the food. So I will write the same nomenclature here. Like of so this is what I must prove. So what is that I do is I have to negate this part and then I have to apply this resolution procedure. So what is that I will do tomorrow is I will represent this statement like this, because I have taken this alive in all this anything everyone eats and does not killed. I have written as alive of X. In the next tomorrow, what that I do is I will write as negation of killed of X. Not killed means instead of alive, I will use a different function. So what will happen if a different function is used in your predicate logic, because that killed will not come again. See here. If I represent this here as negation of killed of X, so your predicate logic is absolutely right, but you need to understand again that killed will not come. So semantically somewhere you need to connect this alive and killed again. So if he is alive, he is not killed. If he is killed, he is not alive. You need to connect them. So because resolution will allow you to add some predicates as far as the proof is concerned. So that part we will see tomorrow. And I will stop here taking the attendance. So if you have any doubt, please unmute yourself. I mean, just process of sending you the material, it is getting delayed for various reasons. Hmm? So just stop this also.